It's pretty common in React to have event handlers that call functions that might change some state in your component. But sometimes you might only want that change to occur if a certain condition is true. Let's take this admittedly slightly contrived example where I've got a like button that I can click to like this particular item. So I can click like, we change the liked state from false to true, and then we show liked. And let's say, for demonstration purposes, that once an item is liked, you can't then dislike it. It should always stay liked forever. So clicking like again should do nothing. One solution here would be to disable the button if the item is liked, but you still don't know that users won't go into the dev tools, undisable the button so they can click it. So you need to make sure in code that that same condition is coded up. So here, for example, in the onLikeClick function, which is called when we click like, you can see there's code that says, if liked is false, update it to true, else do nothing. I see this pattern a lot, and this is a pretty common pattern, but a nice improvement to this, I think, is to actually only bind the event listener if we need to listen for the click. So for example, if the item is already liked, we don't actually need to listen to a click on the liked button because we're not going to do anything with it. React makes it really easy to conditionally apply event listeners. Let's see how we can do that. So we'll go down to my render function, and you can see I've got onClick and I'm setting it to this.onLikeClick. What we can do is use a ternary conditional here to only set the onClick handler to onLikeClick if we need to. And we only need to listen if the state, if liked, is false. So we'll say this.state.liked equals false. If it does equal false, then we'll have onLikeClick. Else, we can just pass null. And React will see null and just ignore it. So let's save that. And now let's have a look and check we can still click the button. And we can. It still says liked. And now, because we're only binding the event handler when we need to, we can remove the conditional from the actual event handler function. So we can go up here to onLikeClicked, and we now don't need this conditional, because we will never call this function unless we need to. Let's just double check this is still working. And you can see it is. This might not seem like much, but I personally find this to be a tidier piece of code now. I think the intent is more clear. And also, it will save you binding event listeners. You won't have quite so many if you're only binding them when you really need to. It's not as inefficient as you might expect to continually toggle an event listener on or off. React listens out to all events on the body and delegates them accordingly to components that have listened to them. So React does a good job behind the scenes of making sure this isn't terribly inefficient. So next time you need to only care about an event if a certain conditional statement is true, see if you prefer using this method where you only bind the event handler in the case that you care about it, rather than having conditionals in the event handling logic to decide if to act on that event or not.